Donington, a 1 hour long distance race with driver changes, and it was a race that last year produced one of the best victories in the dominant season of Andy Rouse.
Down to Redgate, Percy on the inside, Rouse on the outside. Percy holds the first position. Rouse ducks out and gets past.
Andy Rouse has chosen Win Percy as his teammate this year, trying to regain last season's dominance after 2 failures in 3 races.
Things haven't really gone our way this season. After such a good season last year, our luck's changed a little bit. We've had 2, what we would term silly problems, really, that we don't have any control over. One being an accident at Oldham Park, which was caused by a failure on the car. And the other one at the last race at Thruxton, where the ignition pickup on the engine failed, so the engine stopped. It was just as silly as that. Qualifying didn't go quite as well as we'd have liked. We were 3rd on the grid. That's by no means a disaster. It's quite a long race. But we're having trouble finding enough grip in the circuit. We had a small problem in the first practice, which was when the track was cleanest. And by the time the second practice came around, there was oil and traffic and everything else. So it wasn't really worth taking a great big risk to get on the front row. We're quite happy where we are.
At BMW, the problem isn't lack of pace, but an excess of enthusiasm. Frank Sittner's ambition is to successfully defend his title. James Weaver has discovered that makes him an exceptionally determined teammate. In the last 2 rounds, Class B has been decided on the last lap. When Sittner went off at Silverstone, it was victory to Weaver. Then at Thruxton, it was Weaver seething and Sittner victorious. Now for Donington, Steve Soper partners Weaver in the team without orders.
No, there's no team orders, which is surprising, because I would have thought that maybe there should be. But until the Grand Prix meeting, it's completely open. Whoever wins out of the 2 of them and has the most points at the Grand Prix meeting then is put in a position to push for the championship. And until the Grand Prix meeting, it's a free-for-all, which is why the racing has been quite close up until now between the 2 of them.
Among the Class A Sierras at the front of the grid, pole position man Rob Gravitt would be joined by Jeff Allen. The Thruxton winner Dave Brodie teamed with Andrew Gilbert-Scott. Guy Edwards links up with the Le Mans winner Johnny Dumfries. Tim Harvey would be with David Sears, and the other Labatt driver Lawrence Bristow has the experienced Tiff Needell. And here's how the front of the grid looks as we join our commentator Murray Walker.
Well, this is going to be different. 30 cars on their way to the rolling start on Donington's superb 2.5-mile lap. With an hour to go, compulsory driver changes, and Rob Gravitt, winner of round 1, in his first pole position in the red and white Cartel Sierra, alongside Dave Brodie, the Thruxton winner. Into the pit lane goes the pace car, and round 4 is go. And Rob Gravitt fairly leaps into the lead, straight off into Redgate. Andy Rouse is going through on the inside of Dave Brodie to take 2nd position. Then it's Guy Edwards, Bristow, David Sears, Jerry Marnie, and now we're in car with Guy Edwards in 4th place. Immediately ahead of us, it's Andy Rouse. In front of him, Dave Brodie, and leading is Rob Gravitt going down into the old hairpin, and here he is. Right behind him, Brodie and Rouse together. Guy Edwards, now the climb up to McLean's. 4th gear, building up to 110 miles an hour. Look for Gravitt, there he is out front. Brodie behind him, Rouse immediately in front of us. Out of McLean's at about 100 miles an hour, and there's 7 cars together. Gravitt, Brodie, Rouse, Edwards, Bristow, Sears, and Jerry Marnie in 7th place. 3rd gear, down the straight at 125 miles an hour. Gravitt leading. He's got a good lead now over Dave Brodie. Rouse is dropping back. Edwards is catching the 3rd position man, Andy Rouse. And David Sears is going through at the chicane and taking 5th position from Lawrence Bristow. Out of the chicane, down to Redgate again. And look at the lead that Gravitt's got. Brodie 2nd, Russ and Edwards absolutely together, and Sears and Bristow there absolutely together, followed by Jerry Marnie in 7th place. Now, in car with Bristow, 6th position. And Andy Rouse on the left is slowing. Edwards and Sears past him, and now Bristow's past him up into 5th position. Andy Rouse down to 6th, and at the old hairpin there are 5 Sierras. Edwards, Sears, Bristow, Rouse, Marnie. And Steve Soper here in the BMW M3 is leading Class B with a damaged wing. Let's see how it happened. On the left is Mike Smith and Carl Jones. Smith goes up to 9th, past Carl Jones. Dave Pinkney passes us on the left at 125 miles an hour. Down to the chicane, Pinkney past Jones. Soper takes Jones, and there's contact between Pinkney and Smith, and Soper. Soper has hit Pinkney's car. And he's trying to tell us, waving his hand. He's chasing Mike Smith now. But back in the race at the chicane, Andy Rouse there, number 1, is in trouble. The others are getting away, but Rouse is coming into the pit lane. And at Redgate, Gerrit Van Cowen and Mike Smith are battling for 9th position. Here they are, Van Cowen, number 25, Mike Smith, number 20. And there's contact, there's a nudge, and off goes Van Cowen into the sand trap. But he's kept the Sierra rolling. That's really difficult, and he gets a big round of applause from the crowd. He deserves it. Well done, Gerrit. Now, in the pits, Andy Rouse, the winner of round 2. Looks like an electrical problem. They're examining the plugs, and he doesn't look at all happy. But he gets away, sounding a bit rough. And now we're in car with Steve Soper. The right front wing is peeled right back, and he's showing the pits with his hand as he goes past. And there's Dave Lapworth asking Charles Reynolds if he knows what's wrong. But now, let's have a look at it from Frank Sidner's point of view, following Soper. There's Soper in the white car, and he hits Dave Pinkney's car, peels back the right wing, and now he's got a major problem. Is it going to affect the aerodynamics of his car? It looks all right on the left, but it's all wrong on the right. And number 70, Phil Dowsett, is leading Class D. And there in the red and white Sierra, number 21 is race leader Rob Gravitt. Look for Dave Brodie now in the white Sierra behind him. There he is. Guy Edwards in 3rd position. Right behind him is Sears in the blue car. And Lawrence Bristow is 5th, his teammate. And there is the leader, 21, Rob Gravitt. Into the chicane. He's starting to lap people now. Dave Brodie holding a strong 2nd position. And now we are in car with Jerry Marney, 6th position, down the straight at 125 miles an hour. And that is steam. That is steam coming up from under the bonnet into the chicane. He nearly goes off. He's lost traction on the front wheels. There's a big problem there for Jerry Marney. And how lucky for him. He comes straight into the pits. Now, let's see if we can sort out what the problem is. That's what the mechanics have got to do. Up will come the bonnet. There is steam coming out of everywhere, including the fascia vents. And I would imagine a hose has gone.
It's water out, it's not boiled.
Yes, it had. And now, back in the race, Rob Gravitt leading. Brodie, there's Guy Edwards in 3rd position, Sears and Bristow. Don't drink and drive, that's good advice. And now in car with Lawrence Bristow. And ahead of us, Bristow's teammate, David Sears, son of the ex-British saloon champion, Jack Sears. This is the fastest part of the course, down the long straight, into the chicane, and Sears is getting it sideways. Sears goes off. Over the curbing, over the grass. Bristow goes through, up into 4th position. Well, there's a bit of bad luck for Sears. He's lost the place. Can he regain it? And Andy Rouse is back in the pits, a worried-looking Wyn Percy, his co-driver, alongside him. And Mike Smith, look for number 20, is now 7th. There he is. He's Rob Gravitt's teammate, so his team are 1st and 7th. Down to the old hairpin, and Dave Brodie has got a problem. That is the man who was in 2nd position, number 19, Dave Brodie. You can see what the problem is. Punctured left rear tyre. Mike Smith and Sean Walker have passed him. There's Newman passed. And here is Mike Newman chasing Walker and Smith. Number 3, Mike Newman. And that's Louise Aitken-Walker in the Vauxhall Astra. She's about to be lapped by Mike Smith. He tucks in tight, he's onto the grass. He's going off the course. Mike Smith plunging across the infield at Donington. And Tom Wheatcroft doesn't like his grass cutter. Mike is going to be in trouble when he gets away, but he's rejoining the course. back onto the tarmac. Mike Smith well down now.